Hey, our watch. This is Jessica Tapia. I'm so excited for today. If you watched our last episode, you know that I shared the story of really the next teacher on the chopping block for fighting for what's good, right, and true in the public education system. And so today we have in Mr. Sean Redmond. He is the Garden Grove teacher that many of you have heard about. He's taught for 34 years, and now his job is up in the air. He's waiting for his school board to vote on his termination. So we are going to hear from him today on his story. So let's go ahead and just dive right in. I shared last week kind of an overview, but I think it's a lot more powerful to hear directly from you what happened. What was really that moment where you spoke out and it essentially, put your job on the line?
Well, it was really an evolution. By the way, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's great. And for your support. It's been so important to me. It was an evolution, so to speak, because it wasn't one big thing, but coming out of the lockdowns, with people on edge, and then what we were teaching, and first the fact of the matter is I teach civics mostly. And U.S. history, and so we're constantly looking at constitutional issues. And while we were online, even, and I was talking to students, hey, well, what's going on with this? What are the constitutional issues here? Is it okay to take away First Amendment freedom of religion? Is it okay to take First Amendment assembly rights away? Closing churches, closing schools, things like that. And I don't know the answer. I was just trying to have them think about it so we could look up other court cases, try to get some perspective. But people were angry about that, and I was only just asking a question. So you have a situation where I'm trying to help students to think critically in a free and just society, which I hope everybody wants, and that we would talk about the different areas of political ideology, which the state standards have us do. Yep. And then because of that, even though it was right down the line, they started accusing me of being a shield for the right, so as though I was indoctrinating them to conservative political ideologies, which wasn't the case at all. I was being very respectful and just trying to get everybody to understand the good and bad of each side and how people could come together. Really, I want to engage in civil discourse and do those things, but this is not acceptable for people. So that went on. We came back to school, and things just turned up a notch like they hadn't before. We're talking about what people refer to as woke ideologies. Things have changed a lot, but in the last 3 years especially. Well, after Trump became president, the anger was incredible, and then after he lost that, it seemed to me an empowerment of people, and things just started going more and more. So nothing like I'd ever seen before, where they're trying to get us to do certain things. I'll tell you what those are, some of the things, what they are. So they asked us to, with the school psychologist in front of the principal with a staff meeting, asked us to not tell the truth about students' gender if a parent called us and asked. Now, I've had plenty of trans students, other students, I just assume parents know. Right. They asked me to call them by a nickname. I do that. But what if a parent calls and asks something? And so now I'm in a conundrum because I don't want to lie. That's against my moral values. Right. And I think it's important to stand for parents' rights. And so we're asking questions about this. And of course, it gets even deeper. As a mandated reporter, I don't have to say these things. What if a student tells me, well, I'll get hurt by my parents? Now, does that mean I have to report that because they have a possible dangerous situation in their home? I don't know. I don't know the answers to these. We asked for clarity, but nothing would come. I assume because they don't want to put anything in writing. But we're very upset about that. Not just me, but other teachers as well. And so that was a big issue. Also, they revealed that they had 2 records for students, which blew me away, that they kept a record with their trans name, and for whatever else reason that they would send that to colleges maybe or something like that, but that the parents would see only the one with their real given name and gender on it, which concerned me because you have, at least I read in the California Ed Code, that parents are entitled to all records of the students. So that was disconcerting. A couple of years ago, this is when the students were still online, or it may have been some of them back in a hybrid situation. I can't remember, but they asked us to do and this was filtered out through the ASB, but asked us to do a activity where we were to ask the students and have them discuss what is your religion, what is your sexual identity, what is your sexual preference, things like that. Well, the union reps at my school,
Right.
we went up to the administration and we said, hey, this is illegal. And they said, what are you talking about? And then one of our reps said to one of the administrators, go ahead and ask me my religion right now. Of course, he wouldn't do that because he knew that that was going too far. But you're asking us to do this with kids. Well, we said, please stop this. This is not okay. It's illegal. It's uncomfortable. Parents don't know about this. And so we spoke up about that, and many of us refused to do that, including me, because it's a liability issue, certainly, and it's also a moral conundrum, and I'm not going to go against what parents would want. So they were very upset about that and tried to sweep that under the rug.
And can I ask, were these union reps CTA, California Teachers Association?
Right. So our local association, Garden Grove Education Association, and then for people that don't know, we have to be also a part of CTA and then NEA, the National Education Association. So, but I know people have a lot of problems with other unions, and for good cause. But in this issue, my union is very sober and judicious. They want to stop tyranny of administrators towards teachers and have a partnership with teachers. And if teachers say, hey, we need to talk to parents about this, well, then that's something that needs to be done. I mean, teachers also know the law, but they also have wisdom to know what's best. At least at my school, we have plenty of people. So luckily, I have a lot of people of faith at my school, which is a great support group.
Yeah.
As we look at that, but trying to do what's right by everybody.
So after that, it seems like everything kind of came to a peak with that flower power activity, because you're being presented with, an actual activity to do with your students that you were like, whoa, this crosses a line. So you spoke up about that. Take us through what happened after that.
Well, there's constant retaliation against me for saying that I'm indoctrinated toward conservatism. If the principal talks to a student, it appears that the principal was talking to students, asking them, is there anything Mr. Redmond says that is offensive to you, which can mean almost anything.
Right.
And so they bring that in, and then I think make dishonest explanations of things, and then try to write me up on that and put me through the ringer on that, to try to intimidate, do whatever they could. There's a lot in there to talk about, but we don't have the time for that. I think the things that got me really going then finally was this past year, at the beginning of the year, with telling us to lie to parents. The word lie wasn't used, but to be dishonest in that regard, and that they had separate records. And then the previous year we were talking about a dress code, making a new dress code. The teacher who was ahead of that, in conjunction with the principal, really the purpose was stated in my. I was department chair, and we were part of the. They were talking about that in there, and they just said, really, the purpose is to remove any notion of gender identity. They wanted to make a non-binary poster and non-binary dress code, so it applied to everybody. I understand that they want to do that, but because they could be the same things in one, but then there might be a difference. I don't know. I don't know the right thing to do. We talk about this. In fact, I remember telling them the dress code, goes somewhere in between bikini and a burqa, and I don't know what it is, but parents need to be involved in this. The California Code says that parents need to be involved in these decisions, and that has been our practice at our school district, but not with our principal this time, who said that she talked to all people involved, parents, students, teachers, and of course that wasn't true, and she said they voted that it was okay, but it's something that parents need to see so they can be comfortable with. I just want to do what parents want, and that's the important thing.
Because
it seems kind of weird to me.
It's their kids, and I think that's where a lot has gotten lost in transition, because the school system and many teachers are claiming these students as their own. And yes, they're our students, and we do the best for them as our students, but they're not our children. And so there's, a lot of bigger decisions that need to be made, and those have to go through the parents.
Yeah, I believe that they have good intentions sometimes, a teacher that would want to promote that, but the problem is your good intentions don't overcome parental rights.
Right.
So that it's used, on the surface it looks like it's something that's maybe innocuous to a lot of people, but what it's used for is the ability to be able to talk to students, hey, so you're non-binary and so forth, and find things for them. I don't know what ends up happening, but that's the kind of thing that happened. Of course, they keep that secret from the parents, and I don't know, on that issue what the right thing is to do, but I know that parents should be involved in making that distinction. So
right, yeah, the biggest justification, I'm sure you've heard it as well, in terms of this secrecy around gender identity from parents, is for safety. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting to me is there's the safety issue really lies in not telling the parents, because again, they are the child's parents. They're the ones the child lives with. They're the ones who, see them the most and take them to the pediatrician and, feed them. They're the ones who, if the child is going through something mentally and emotionally, which they are, if they're confused about their gender, that's very much a mental, emotional issue. Mm-hmm. The parent needs to know to keep the child safe and to walk that child through that confusion, really, which is what that is. And so it's the safety is it's unsafe to keep it from parents. And that's what's most irritating for me is I just, I can't help but, as a parent myself, and I know you are as well, imagining my child going through something like that, it being kept secret from me, and my own son or daughter just being so confused and lost and in such turmoil over something I didn't even know they were fighting internally about, and then they decide to do something to themselves, harm themselves. And then I had no idea what they were struggling with, but their teacher did,
right.
But the administration did, but this secret portfolio did.
That's a beautiful point, yes. I mean, I thought about that stuff. Initially, when my kids were young, I thought, well, prepare yourself. What if your kids tell you they're gay? Mm-hmm. And then you have to love them and deal with that.
Right.
And then actually pretty young, one of my younger daughter's friends, after grade school, had decided to to transition from a female to a male. That was, now she had moved out of state at that time, but they kept in touch. And we actually visited them when we were near them, to say hi and so forth. Lovely family and a lovely young girl who became a boy. We can argue about what the parents should do about that, but the point
right.
is, you would want to know that because you want to deal with it with your kid, like you said. If there's any danger resulting from that, well, then that's an issue that has to be dealt with. So, but more often than not, I think parents would want to know that. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have kids. We sometimes they're going to find out their kids are pregnant. So and
right.
And sometimes they disown them, but mostly not. Mm-hmm. So it's not like it used to be.
I had one girl in my PE class who came to me and shared that with me. You could tell she was very shy about it, really young girl, and all I knew, as I've always done as a teacher, whatever my students are bringing to me, love them through it. I don't know, how her mom or her dad are responding. All I know is I'm going to do what God's called me to do. And no matter who this is and what they're bringing to me, I want to be a light and a love to them. And I'm just going to love her through it. I'm going to, and if I'm remembering correctly, I spoke to her and I just made sure she knew that a baby is a blessing, period. It's an absolute miracle to bring a life into the world. And, everything was going to be okay. And I'd work with her in PE, whatever needed to be done. And
that's what we're there to do, to support parents. I mean, right. and we love kids. We know we want them to do well. We're not worth our salt in this business if we're not doing that. We care about all kids. I mean, so some people might say, well, you're a transphobe because you're trying to do this or that, but that's not the case at all. I've had I think the first trans kid who I knew who said was, 15 years ago, I'm thinking, and it's not ever been a problem. And I've never been asked by a parent, and I just assume that everybody knows. And my job is to help everybody, but I'm a support to the parent. The parent is the teacher. The parent is the one who's in charge. And when parents come to back to school night, I tell them, look, I work for you. I treat your kids exactly the way I want my kids to be treated.
Yes.
And I have to honor what you want, and that's my guiding principle in that. So
yeah, it was really bizarre for me being asked to do the same thing, withhold information from parents, which I looked my assistant superintendent in the eye and I said, are you asking me to lie to parents? And again, they said, yes, for student safety and privacy. And that part's really confusing for me too, still to this day. It's like, since when does a child need privacy from their parents?
My thought on it is, and of course this is always evolving and you're evaluating. If a parent asks me, is my kid gay, is my kid trans, how do I even know?
Right.
Students change all the time. That's not my business to talk about that.
Yeah.
But if you ask me, is my kid go by a different name at school,
that's
something
facts.
I know.
Yeah.
Does my kid dress like a male or a female? It may be that I know. It maybe doesn't. Sometimes, kids dress androgynously, so I couldn't say either way. And I'm not going to try to call a parent, but about something I assume they have knowledge of. But I can't lie to a parent. That's just, I work for them. The school board works for them. The school district works for them. That's where our priorities are.
Right. I think we have to focus on the facts. Well, I know we have to focus on the facts, but the struggle is it seems as though the focus has become feelings, how everyone feels about everything, and the facts are getting lost in that. So talk to us about where things are right now. I think that's the big question. A lot of people have heard your story now, realize that you've spoken up for what you know to be good, right, and true for your students and for yourself and your fellow coworkers. Where are we at now with your story?
I'm sure it's similar to you in that I got to a point where I thought, I can't. I've worked through with the principal. That's not working. I filed a formal complaint. I worked through the district. I hope at each point you hope things are going to be fixed. But they're not. And so, that's that. I had other options at that point, but then, when they moved to fire me, then that's a different thing. And I already was making things known, and I'm worried the school board didn't know. So I just thought, what, I have to do this. I have to protect teachers from tyranny of who are good people. Most, they're good people, and they're trying to do the best by kids. And so I need to protect them so that they can protect students and protect parents' rights and so forth. And I'm at a point in my career, so many people are afraid, and they have a right to be, because they're so intimidating. District's so intimidating. They've been trying to intimidate me a lot the past 3 years, putting me on 45-day notices, using dishonest explanations of things, and sometimes outright lies to justify this. And so they're trying to get me to, I don't know what, but they if I sat in there and gave worksheets every day for students who didn't try to teach them anything, then they would say I was a bad teacher. So you really can't win on this.
It feels like there's no winning. Yep.
Right. So I just thought I have to move forward on this. So I'm gonna and also it's a matter of faith as well. I have a responsibility to God for what I'm doing, and for society, for my kids, for my grandkids. This has to be done, and so I'm going to stand up for that, because nobody else will. I'm closer to retirement. I know that many teachers, they have kids, which is amazing for you, because you have kids. You're the age of my oldest daughter, and that's a scary thing, And I wouldn't necessarily tell anybody that you should do this and lose your job. That's a decision they have to make. But I'm going to stand up. Somebody has to. So I'm going to do that. And I have I have backing of people at school, which is great, and a lot of people in the district. But the support that I received when I started reaching out to people. There's some great people, some great organizations, and then I got a call from you, and the people came out, and it was just wonderful to see people in the district who wanted to stand up for this, and the board didn't know what was happening, and there's many more egregious things. So hopefully they're looking at that twice, but as it stands right now, they pushed it off. I don't know if it's because they're trying to wait to maybe it'll calm down, although people told me, hey, if we don't hear anything, we're coming back, and if you get fired, we're coming back. So, that's where I'm at now. They're sort of putting it in limbo. Not really sure what's going to go on.
I think you're seeing, like I did and like I am, you're really seeing the other side of stepping out in faith. You said you knew you had to take this stand, really, no matter what the cost was going to be. And the other side of stepping out in faith is so incredible. I lost family and friends when I did that, but the gain is unlike anything that I lost. The relationships I've made, the support I've received, the opportunities that God has given me, the just blessings and miracles. It's like I knew I was in this realm of faith because of experiencing the Lord in ways I've never experienced him before. And yes, it was scary. Like you said, you did that at such a young age. It was scary, yes. But again, the other side, now that I'm on the other side of it makes me want to tell the world, if God is calling you to stand for what's good, right, and true, stand up and do it. And you will not be sorry, because the other side of faith is so beautiful. But too many people don't ever take that step because they want control. Right. And I wanted it too. I wanted to control. I make this salary. Like, there's no way I'm going to live without it. And I really had to come to a point with myself where it was like, okay, who is your boss ultimately? Is it the school district or is it God? Yes, the school district pays your paycheck, but who provides all your needs? I was like, whoa, okay. This is a big decision, and I need to make the right decision in this. And, God just made it clear. Just speak up. When you see evil, expose it. And that's, how I had to look at that, and simply what I did. And unfortunately, when, you and I exposed evil that we found in the public education system that we are being asked to do as teachers, they didn't like that. They don't like that. Right. And, that obviously put our jobs on the line. I lost mine, and yours is still currently up in the air. So,
well, they said definitely I'm not getting paid and I don't have insurance. So anyway.
How can we support you?
Well,
there's a lot of people praying already and coming out to school board meetings.
It has been so great. And just as, if people would just pray and then, hopefully show up at a bunch of different places. I showed up at Orange School District meeting last night to talk about stuff, to encourage people. So, getting out there it's happening more and more, and it's a great thing, and people are really moving. And the school districts in Southern California have to be thinking, whoa, now it's coming here. It was in Iowa. It wasn't, wherever else, but now it's coming here. So it's a great thing.
There's definitely a stirring happening in school districts around here, and courage is contagious. So I'm grateful for you that you were courageous, because there's going to be a ripple effect. I've seen a ripple effect from my own story. Good. And it's going to happen. There's going to be a ripple effect from yours, and I'm excited. I think it's awesome that we've answered the call, because like I said, a lot of people don't, and the Bible's clear that the road is narrow and few find it and choose that narrow road. So that is going to be a wrap, I think. Sean, thank you so much for coming in.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to Jessica's podcast.
Yes, if you enjoyed this show today, please do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we will be back next time amplifying another courageous teacher who is fighting for what's good, right, and true.